My stepdaughter insulted me in front of my family, and when I confronted her, my wife humiliated me. She's not your daughter. Don't correct her. I just smiled. The next morning, I canceled her university tuition, car, and credit cards, and sent an eviction notice. Now they understood that I wasn't a father, I was their sole provider. My brother raised his beer. To my brother, the one who's made it further than any of us. It was my night, the 10th anniversary of my first restaurant. My family was gathered at my house, celebrating what I had built with my own hands. "And what are you going to study?" he asked my stepdaughter. "With the university he's paying for, you have the world at your feet." She didn't even look up from the cell phone that I paid for. "Something worthwhile. Law, medicine. I don't want to end up being a waiter my whole life." My fork dug into the plate. "Sorry, you heard me. Not all of us can settle for serving food and cleaning tables." My mother choked. My father stopped eating. The contempt in her voice was visceral, cutting through the air like a razor blade. "That was completely out of line," I said, feeling rage rise in my chest like lava. My wife glared at me as if I were the problem. "She's not your daughter, so shut your mouth. At least she knows what she wants, unlike you, who got stuck serving plates." The blow was perfect. In front of my family, she trampled on everything I was, everything I had built. Every word was a hammer blow to my dignity. I smiled slowly. The clarity was brutal and final. "You're right. I'm nothing to her." The next morning, I called my manager. "I'm not coming in today. Take care of everything." "Everything okay, boss?" "Yes, I just have to deal with something personal." I sat down at the computer with a cup of coffee that went cold, untouched. I needed to understand exactly what had been happening in my own home. While I waited for the bank's page to load, memories hit me like a waterfall. The times I had tried to set basic rules with my stepdaughter. "No phones at the table," I had said once during dinner. She didn't even look up. My wife immediately jumped in. "You're not her father. You have no right to correct her." Or the time she came home at 3 a.m. on a Friday and I asked where she had been. She looked at me like I was trash and said, "Why do I have to explain myself to you?" My wife, of course, backed her up. "If you have a problem with her, you deal with me." Every time I tried to exert any kind of authority or simply ask for basic respect, they shut me down and made me look ridiculous. My stepdaughter had quickly learned she could ignore me without consequence, and my wife made sure of it. I should have seen it coming, but I always justified it. "It's normal," I told myself. "A rebellious phase because I'm her mother's new partner. She hasn't fully accepted me." And it was the same with my wife. She was a single mother for so long that it's hard for her to let someone else into her daughter's care. I always found excuses for their behavior. The signs were there from the beginning, but I ignored them. I opened the credit card statements for the last 6 months. The first charge that caught my eye was a recurring one, Las Palmas Boutique Hotel. Always on a Tuesday or Thursday, always when I was at the restaurants, $50 each time. And that's when it all brutally clicked into place. Those were the exact days of their mother-daughter outings. The doctor's appointments, the family shopping trips, the activities they needed to do together. It was all lie. A perfectly orchestrated facade. My stomach dropped like a stone. My money was funding their hotel meetups while I worked like an idiot, believing I had a united family. My stepdaughter was her perfect alibi. I kept scrolling. Purchases at Neverpool for thousands of dollars, watches, designer shirts, expensive perfumes, gifts I had never seen, much less received. But what really destroyed me were the transfers. My wife had been moving money from our shared account to a personal account I didn't even know she had. $2,000 here, $3,000 there, always with vague descriptions like household expenses or family shopping. 23 transfers in 6 months, over $30,000. The pattern was perfect: hotel on Tuesdays, transfers on Wednesdays, shopping on Thursdays, like clockwork. I closed the laptop and leaned back in my chair. The infidelity was obvious, but who was it? My mind raced through the possibilities. Someone from work, an acquaintance, a complete stranger. The uncertainty ate me up inside. One thing was clear: I needed solid evidence, not just suspicions. That afternoon, I went to an electronics store. I need a high-definition security camera. The best you have. For indoor or outdoor? Outdoor. I want to improve the neighborhood security. $100 later, I had a camera that could record in 4K with audio. I installed it discreetly, pointing at my front door, hoping it would give me the answers I so desperately needed. I didn't have to wait long. On the third day, while reviewing the footage on my phone from the restaurant, I saw him. It was our next-door neighbor, let's call him Dominic, casually walking up to my house 10 minutes after I had left. He had a key. The same Dominic who always greeted me with that overly friendly smile when I left for work. He was supposedly happily married to an elementary school teacher. 2 hours later, he walked out, adjusting his shirt. It all fit together like a punch to the gut. The strange familiarity I had ignored for months, the casual conversations in the garden, the overly cordial greetings. But there was more. I kept reviewing footage from previous days, and there was the complete pattern. When Dominic's wife, let's call her Eris, left early for work, he would wait for me to leave before coming to my house. On the days Eris stayed home, my wife and stepdaughter would go shopping. I cross-referenced those dates with the hotel charges. Every single __ time, it matched perfectly. The realization broke me in two. My stepdaughter didn't just know about the affair, she was an active accomplice. Her insult during dinner had been cruel and dismissive, but now it hurt differently. She hadn't just humiliated me in front of my family, she had done it while covering up her mother's betrayal. That night, I searched for Eris's profile on Facebook. A genuine smile, family photos that breathed normalcy. A woman who had no idea her husband was sleeping with the neighbor with my money. I took screenshots of everything: bank statements, camera recordings, transfers. I organized every piece of evidence by date and time. I called my lawyer. I need an urgent consultation regarding asset separation in a common-law marriage and fraud. Fraud? Someone has been diverting money from our shared accounts without my consent. I want to know what my options are. The appointment was set for Friday. Friday morning, my lawyer got straight to the point. Technically, there's no marriage, so there are no marital assets to divide. But the fraud is another story. If you can prove she used your money without consent for purposes that harm you, I have the proof. Then you have the right to recover that money and more. You can also proceed with a civil suit against both of them for moral damages. And if they live on my property? If she doesn't pay rent and isn't on the lease, you can start eviction proceedings. 30 days. I walked out of that office with crystal clarity. It wasn't just about the money or the infidelity, it was about the respect, the deliberate humiliation, about that __ phrase. I'm nothing to her. She was right. I was nothing to them. I was the owner of everything they had. That night, at dinner, as if nothing had happened, my wife told me about her day. Dominic was helping me with some heavy boxes. Such a helpful neighbor. I smiled and nodded. Yes, he's very helpful. While she talked about plans for the weekend, I discreetly pulled out my phone under the table. I opened the banking app, navigated to the credit card section, and with 3 cold, precise taps, I canceled every supplementary card in her name and my stepdaughter's. I looked up and smiled at her, nodding along to whatever she was saying. The game had begun. On Wednesday night, my phone rang. It was my wife, but not the calm voice I knew. This time, she was furious. What the underscore happened with the cards? I tried to pay for dinner, and my card was declined. You have no idea the embarrassment you put us through. The bank is investigating some unrecognized charges, I replied with the coldest calm I could muster. I canceled the cards 2 days ago. Sorry I didn't tell you, but it all happened very fast. Unrecognized charges? What kind of charges? Are you accusing me? No, honey, they're purchases and transactions that don't match our usual spending. That's why I canceled the cards. Maybe your daughter lent the cards to her friends, and that's where the charges came from. We have to wait for the bank to finish verifying the data. There was a long pause. How long is this going to take? It could be weeks. It's an exhaustive process. I heard her take a deep breath, fighting for control. And in the meantime, you have to give us money. We're your responsibility. You are our provider. I'll give you something for the supermarket tomorrow. For the supermarket? Seriously, we need more than that, honey. It's what I can do while this all gets sorted out. As soon as the bank finishes its investigation, we'll go back to normal. I just need us to be patient. She hung up without saying goodbye. The following days were a symphony of complaints. My stepdaughter grew increasingly frustrated because she couldn't maintain her lifestyle. No shopping trips to the mall, no expensive outings with her friends, no extra dance classes that I paid for. Friday afternoon, the decisive moment arrived. I walked into the house with a smile I couldn't hide. Why are you so happy? My wife asked suspiciously. I made a difficult but necessary decision. I sold your daughter's car. The silence that followed was deafening. What? My stepdaughter appeared out of nowhere, her eyes wide. You sold my car. If we're having financial problems, we have to make sacrifices. The car is a luxury we can't afford right now. How could you do this to me? Her voice broke between fury and tears. That car was mine. It was a car I was paying for. If I can't keep up with the payments, I have to sell it. Then came the speech I had been waiting for since that night at dinner. This is ridiculous. I can't live like this. Wait, are you saying we won't have money for a while? But for how much longer? University registration is coming up, and you know I'm not going to a public one. My education has to be the best if I want to get further than you. There it was. Pure, undisguised contempt. I don't know why my mother is still with you if you can't even pay for my education. You're a failure. I'm doing the best I can in a difficult situation, I replied with a calmness that surprised me. The following Monday, real panic set in. My stepdaughter ran into the house, phone in hand, her eyes watery. The university tuition payment was declined. They said if we don't pay in 72 hours, I'll be dropped from all my classes. My wife looked at me with absolute panic. You have to fix this now. I can't, I said, shrugging with the most sympathetic expression I could feign. With the bank investigation, I've had to freeze all large payments. It's security protocol. It's over $15,000 per semester. My stepdaughter was trembling. You can't leave me like this. I'm very sorry, but it's out of my hands. You'll have to wait for the investigation to be resolved. But I'll fall a whole semester behind. Maybe you can get a job in the meantime to help with expenses. Or consider a more affordable university temporarily. Her face turned red with indignation. That night, I heard her crying in her room while she told her mother everything. It didn't take 5 minutes for her to come for me. Oh, no, you don't, my wife's voice echoed through the house. You have to pay for your daughter's university. There it was again. Your daughter when she needed money, but she's not your daughter when she wanted to humiliate me. Honey, you know I'd do anything for her if it were in my hands, but don't give me excuses. She is your responsibility. You can't ruin her future because of your financial problems. They're not my problems. It's a bank investigation. I don't give a___ about the investigation. Get the money from wherever you have to. I looked at her with the most pained expression I could manage. I'm doing everything I can. As soon as this is resolved, it will be my priority. But inside, I was smiling. While I maintained my facade as a husband overwhelmed by financial problems, I had escalated my surveillance. I installed cameras inside my own house, in addition to the one outside. If Dominic and my wife were going to use my home for their encounters, I was going to document every second. On Wednesday afternoon, while reviewing the footage from the restaurant, I heard the conversation that changed everything. Dominic was in my living room, talking on the phone. His voice came through clearly from the hidden camera. "Eris, honey, we need to talk, seriously." "No, it's not about the money, it's about us." A long pause. "Yes, I know you just found out about the pregnancy, but I have to be honest with you. I'm not sure I'm ready for this. My job situation isn't stable, and with a baby." My heart stopped. Eris was pregnant, and Dominic was looking for excuses to leave her. My wife's voice interrupted from the kitchen. "Was that her?" "Yes, she's pregnant." "And what are you going to do?" "I already told you, I want to be with you, but you need to make up your mind once and for all. I can't keep waiting while you play the perfect wife with him. It's not that easy, Dominic. He's in a better financial position than you. If I leave with you." "So this is about money?" "No, but I have to be realistic. That's why I've been saving money on the side, just in case I decide." There it was. The confirmation of what I had suspected. My wife was using me as a financial plan B while she decided whether to leave me. Dominic was pressuring my wife to leave me while his pregnant wife waited at home, unaware that her husband planned to abandon her. That night, I couldn't sleep. For the first time since this nightmare began, I faced a genuine moral dilemma. Should I tell Eris the truth? I would have wanted to know. She had the right to know that her husband was not only cheating on her but also planning to abandon her while she was pregnant. But was it fair to destroy her world at such a vulnerable moment? Then again, Dominic was going to destroy her world anyway. The only difference was whether she found out now or later, when she was further along in her pregnancy. Did I have the right to decide what was best for her? Or did I have a moral obligation to tell her before Dominic left her? The answer came when I remembered my own experience. I would have wanted to know from day one. Eris deserved the same opportunity to make informed decisions about her future and her babies. On Thursday morning, I received the call I had been waiting for. "We have everything we need," my lawyer told me. "The evidence is solid. We can proceed with the civil suit and execute the eviction order whenever you give the word." "Are you sure it's enough?" "More than enough. The unauthorized transfers, the recordings, the bank statements. It's a solid case." I hung up and felt a strange calm. It was time to design the perfect ending to this nightmare. That night, I sat down at the computer. It was time to act. The eviction would be carried out on Friday morning, but first, I needed to talk to Eris. On Thursday afternoon, when I knew my wife and Dominic would be at the hotel, I walked over to the house next door. My heart was pounding as I knocked. Yes. Eris opened the door. She looked tired and pale. "Excuse me, ma'am. I'm your next-door neighbor. I need to talk to you about something very delicate involving your husband." Her face changed immediately. "What's wrong with Dominic? Could we talk inside? I have some evidence I think you should see." Once we were seated in her living room, I opened my laptop. "Ma'am, I'm very sorry to have to show you this, but your husband has been using my house for encounters with my wife. I have recordings." I showed her some of the clearest footage: Dominic entering and leaving my house, the dates, the times. Her face went pale. This can't be true." I know it's hard to believe, which is why I'm proposing something. Tomorrow, you and I will pretend to leave for work as usual, but we'll come back in half an hour. They will be here, in my house. We're going to catch them red-handed. Eris looked at me with a mixture of pain and determination. Are you sure? Completely. It's the only way for you to see the truth with your own eyes. Eris was trembling slightly. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm a victim here too. And because I believe you have the right to know, especially now that you're expecting a baby. She was silent for a long time, processing the information. What time tomorrow? You have to leave tomorrow as if you're going to work normally. I'll do the same. But instead of leaving, we'll wait and come back 30 minutes later. By then, they'll be comfortable and relaxed. Eris processed the information. 30 minutes. Exactly. We need to give them enough time to feel safe and, well, to leave no doubt about what's happening. She nodded slowly. I understand. Tomorrow, I'll leave as usual, but I'll be back in half an hour. I walked back to my house knowing that this entire charade would end tomorrow. The truth would be there, raw and undeniable, for Eris to see with her own eyes. That night, I called my lawyer. Everything is ready. I'll pick up the eviction notice first thing in the morning. All right. I'll have it ready. The game was over. All that was left was to say, checkmate. Friday morning, I left the house earlier than usual. I'm heading to the restaurant, I told my wife. I have to take care of some pending matters early. Will you be back for lunch? I don't think so. It's going to be a long day. First, I stopped by my lawyer's office to pick up the eviction notice. The documents felt heavy in my hands, but also liberating. On my way back, my phone vibrated with a text from Eris. I've left the house. All set? I replied immediately. Perfect. I'm on my way. Had to pick something up. Meet me at the neighborhood park. I parked 2 blocks from my house and walked to the park. Eris was already there, sitting on a bench, looking nervous but determined. Are you ready? I asked her. No, not really. But let's do this. It's okay. You're not alone in this. We're in this together. We're going to make them regret messing with us. She nodded, trembling. We walked in silence to my house. My heart was beating so hard I was sure she could hear it. When we arrived, I took out my keys and opened the door slowly and quietly. This is your last chance to back out. If you're not sure. I whispered. No. I need to see this. I opened the door, and we went inside. We found clothes scattered all over the floor. It seemed they were in quite a hurry. Then we heard the moans coming from our bedroom. With my heart pounding, we went up the stairs. Eris, barely holding back tears, looked like she was about to throw up. As we got closer, the sounds grew louder. I thought I might throw up too. The sound of the door opening made them turn. I saw the exact moment the color drained from their faces. Dominic nearly threw my wife to the floor as he scrambled up, barely covering himself with a sheet. She was frozen with her mouth open, desperately trying to cover herself with a pillow. No, no, this can't be happening, my wife stammered, looking between Eris and me with wide, terrified eyes. What? How? Dominic, consumed by panic, didn't know what to say. Eris, you were supposed to be at work. His voice came out in a high-pitched squeal, completely different from his normal tone. This isn't. It's not. It's not what? Eris's voice exploded like thunder. You're screwing the neighbor. My wife finally reacted, getting to her feet on shaky legs. Wait. We can explain this. It's not what it looks like. We were just. Just what? I looked her straight in the eyes. "Oh, don't tell me he was helping you unclog your drain," I said, laughing. "I don't know how you plan to explain this when we've clearly seen you. Do you take us for fools?" Dominic had turned pale as a ghost. He was literally shaking. "Eris, baby, please, let me explain. This was a mistake, a moment of weakness." Eris looked at him with absolute contempt. "Weakness? I'm pregnant, Dominic. And you're here with this?" She walked towards him, pulling out her phone. "But don't worry, my lawyer will make sure you pay every cent of child support. I'm taking the house, the car, even your __ pension. Don't think you're getting out of this unscathed. Eris, please, think about the baby." "I am thinking about the baby. That's why I'm going to bleed you dry until you have nothing left." She turned towards the door. "Enjoy your new life of being broke." "Wait." Dominic tried to follow her. "Get away from me." Eris spun around. "The next time you want to talk to me, it will be through my lawyer." She left the room. I heard her footsteps going down the stairs, then the slam of the front door. Dominic ran out after her, still desperately looking for his clothes. And just like that, I was left alone with my wife in the room we once shared. The silence was so thick I could feel it crushing my chest. My wife broke the silence first. "Please, can we talk about this?" I pulled the eviction papers from my pocket and placed them on the bed, right where she had been with Dominic minutes before. "Eviction notice. You have 48 hours. Her hands trembled as she took the papers. This can't be real." "It's very real. It's signed by a judge. You can't do this. This is my house too." "No, this is my house. You are an occupant without a rental agreement." I looked her straight in the eye. "And a thief." "A thief?" Her voice broke. $30,000. Unauthorized transfers from our shared accounts. I have it all documented. She collapsed onto the bed. "I was going to pay it back." "When?" "After you ran off with him." I pointed to where Dominic had been. "Oh, but he doesn't want you anymore. He used you. Just like you used me." I took out my phone. "Want to hear the recordings?" "I have everything documented." "What recordings?" Her eyes widened in horror. "You didn't know. We have cameras in the house. The bank statements, everything." I put my phone away. The bank problems, the investigation. It was all a lie. I've known for weeks. But you kept acting normal. You talked to me, you ate with me." Her voice trailed off. "I needed time to prepare everything legally, to make sure you couldn't keep a single thing that's mine." At that moment, we heard footsteps in the hallway. My stepdaughter appeared at the door, visibly bewildered by the situation. "Mom, what's going on here?" She saw her mother half naked on the bed. "Your mother has been having an affair with the neighbor for 6 months, I told her bluntly. My stepdaughter looked at me, then at her mother. "That's a lie." My wife didn't know what to do or say. "And you knew," I added. "The mother-daughter outings. The hotels." My stepdaughter lowered her head, unable to deny it. As they say, silence speaks volumes. "So, you knew the whole time?" It wasn't a question. I took the papers from the bed and gave them to her. "You both have 48 hours. "What?" My stepdaughter snapped her head up. "You're kicking us out. It's an eviction order signed by a judge." I handed her the papers. "By the way, tell your mother to watch the mail. The summons for the lawsuit over the $30,000 she stole will be arriving soon." $30,000? My stepdaughter turned even paler. "Yes. $30,000. I looked at my wife. She was planning to run off with the neighbor. Money that you will now have to pay back with interest and damages. It was our money, my wife said, getting up from the bed, still trying to cover herself. It was my money, I cut her off. And you used it to build your plan B? My stepdaughter connected the dots. Mom, instead of using it for my education, you were planning to leave me? My wife's silence was all the answer she needed. It seems your mother chose her lover, and you helped her by covering for it all. But what am I going to do now? Her voice broke. University. That's not my problem. Like you said, I'm not your father. I headed for the door. You have 48 hours. Not a minute more. My wife came up to me. Wait, I was wrong. I made a mistake. Please, you can't do this to us. We can try again. No. This is over. I deserve more than a woman like you. I turned to leave. I love you, she shouted desperately. I can change. We can start over. I stopped in the doorway. You don't love anything but my money. The only difference is, now it's gone. And us? What? Where are we going to go? That's not my problem anymore. I went downstairs without looking back. I heard my stepdaughter crying. I heard my wife screaming at me. I heard all the chaos I was leaving behind, but I just kept walking. I walked out of my own house for the last time as the man I had been. When I returned in 2 days, I would be the absolute owner of my life and my property. And they would have to discover who they were without my money, without my house, without me. It's been 2 months since I kicked them out of my house. I stayed in a hotel for those 2 days while they packed. When I came back, the house was empty, but intact. At least they had the decency not to destroy anything. Eris followed through on every threat. Dominic lost the house in the divorce, the car, and is paying child support that has him working 2 jobs. My ex and her daughter had to move into an apartment on the other side of the city. The civil lawsuit forced her to return the $30,000. She had to empty that secret account down to the last cent, plus interest and legal fees. In total, she lost almost $40,000. The irony wasn't lost on me. Her relationship with her daughter became toxic. I sold the house 3 weeks ago. I didn't want anything that reminded me of that lie. I bought a larger apartment in a better area, the kind of place I used to think I didn't need. Now that I'm not supporting 2 people who despised me, I can afford certain luxuries. Business is better than ever. I'm considering opening a 3rd location. Yesterday, I received a text from my stepdaughter from an unknown number. I'm sorry. I made a horrible mistake. Please, I need help with university. I promise I'll pay you back everything when I graduate. I read it twice. I remembered that dinner. I don't want to end up being a waiter my whole life. I deleted it without replying. Read it, was I too ruthless, or did I simply respect myself for the first time?